Ready, down, put.
Hey everybody, this is Brad from the website Tecmo versus RBI Baseball, joined as usual by my co-host Nate. How you doing, man?
I am awesome. It's good to be with you, and I'm excited to talk about what we're talking about tonight. I'm getting stoked for August, and we'll be getting a chance to talk about that tonight. It's going to be a great time. So
yeah, it's been a while since we podcast.
It's been.
So today's show, we have a guest on. We're going to talk about the Retro World Series for 2016. It's a little event down in Houston coming up, and how you find out about all this is RetroWorldSeries.com. And as people that follow our site know, we like the original Tecmo Bowl. We obviously play it a lot. And so their Hal Hawkins is the founder, whatever you want to call him, of the Retro World Series. So we found out they're hosting an original Tecmo Bowl tournament, so we were all geeked out. We kind of wanted to see where we stood with other players, you know, kind of random players. So we put on a couple tournaments here in Omaha and Des Moines, and so we fared pretty well in those. I feel pretty good about the upcoming tournament in Houston. I guess we'll see how good we are nationally. What are your thoughts, Nate?
Well, you know, we generally play with different rules than the tournaments are, and we adapted the rules to fit the Retro World Series rules, so we could kind of play under that system, and it's interesting, and it created different issues you had to prepare for and different things you had to defend, and so it was interesting how it kind of changed our game over the last couple months, just trying to prepare for August and going down to Houston. You know, the Retro World Series is August 11th through the 14th. Who haven't heard of it, and again, our guest Hal will talk about that here in a little bit. But yeah, it's definitely the tournaments in Des Moines and Omaha were interesting in that it kind of showed us some new things we had to prepare for, and gave us some looks that might face down in Houston. So it was kind of exciting to get to play in their new rules, new formats. We talk all the time on our site about how new formats can change the gameplay and can create new things with old matchups and keeps things fresh, and it definitely has kept things fresh the last couple months here. So
yeah, definitely. It's got me thinking about a lot of new things with Tecmo Bowl. We'll also be playing some RBI baseball down there. I encourage you to also join in, Nate. Again, folks, that website is RetroWorldSeries.com, and it will be held August 11th through the 14th. Let's get our guest on the show here. He's Hal Hawkins. Hal can start to kind of break down the show. How you doing, Hal?
Doing all right. I appreciate you having me on.
Could you, just for the people listening, could you give people a little bit of an idea what you mean when you say retro gaming? What are you talking about? Are you talking about from, the Atari? Or are you talking about from Super NES? Are you talking like PlayStation 2? What are you talking about?
Well, we created I created an FAQ on the website just to answer those kind of questions, and for the time being, retro is so I see the debates on forums all the time. What is defined as retro or classic? And for the time being, we're going to base it on cartridge-based games. So anything from Atari to Vectrex to Nintendo to Super Nintendo, even 64. As far as tournaments are concerned, when you deal with older stuff like that, CDs are definitely aren't going to be the most reliable. Those are going to break down, and so for the time being, we're going to consider anything cartridge-based to be retro, unless the Chameleon decides to make a comeback from its vaporware type deal going on. But no, we just want to reconnect to it's mainly going to be the Atari, the NES, the SNES. The Sega Genesis, and we've had some smaller high score and speed run tournaments with Master System and 32X, and we plan on throwing in ColecoVision and television eventually if it works out, maybe Neo Geo as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
The Retro World Series features, is it 12 games? Is that correct?
Yeah, there are 12 tournaments. There's 3 for each system: Atari, NES, Sega Genesis, and SNES. So Atari is going to be Warlords, Ball Blazer, and Real Sports Boxing. NES will be RBI Baseball and Tecmo, as you mentioned, as well as Super Dodgeball. Sega Genesis is going to be Street Fighter 2, NHL 94, Road Rash 2, and the SNES will be Super Bomberman 2, Super Mario Kart, and Mortal Kombat 2.
That's a great lineup. I think for your first year of running it, it was probably, I don't know if it's easiest to come up with the titles for the first year, but you really picked some heavy hitters, so that should easily grab people's attention there. And the dates on the Retro World Series are
August 11th through 14th.
August 11th through the 14th. And as you've told people before or elsewhere, you can enter one game, you can enter 3 games, you can enter all 12. It's you can just kind of play whatever you want to, correct?
Yeah, we're going to schedule it to where nothing overlaps, to where you could enter all of them if you wanted to. You don't get you don't get excluded just because you want to play one. You can play them all. So, we're going to start out the first day, Atari and NES, and then, nearly all the tournaments will start out with a group play to make sure that everyone gets a minimum number of plays, number of games to play. Then we'll move on to the, SNES and Sega Genesis, and then the final Sunday will be nothing but the finals and semifinals on a big stage on projectors being live broadcast.
And then the format in general, you're playing to place within your game, like Tecmo Bowl, for instance. But what makes your event unique is you're also trying to place overall, I guess if I'm trying to explain it right, as the Retro Gamer of the Year. You want to talk about that process a little bit?
Well, we wanted to encourage people to play as many games as possible, and part of that is offering a reward for Player of the Year. Kind of similar format to the FedEx Cup, if you're familiar with golf, where the more events and the better you do, the more points you get, and the more chance you have to win a grand prize at the end of the year and be called the Player of the Year. And this not only covers the main event, but it covers the tournaments we're having at all the conventions we're going to. So far, we've had 3 events we've gone to, and so there's one guy who's gone to 2 of them already, and he's won many of those tournaments, and so he's clearly in the lead. He's going to be in the lead when I update the scores, and he plans on going on another event. So there's people that go to these events all the time, and this incentivizes them to enter all these different tournaments, even the small ones, and just take part and not just try and win this individual tournament, but try to bragging rights, trying to be the best you can be.
Also, when I kind of look at the return on investment, if you're a moderately good gamer in a lot of different areas, it sounds like you could have a chance to clean up in some cash prizes here.
Well, we wanted to keep the entries low because there's a lot of tournaments. We want you to be able to enter all of them. Some tournaments are as high as $40 or $50. We didn't want to do that because we wanted you to be able to enter in more than one and affordably. $10 from each main event or each entry fee into the main event goes into that tournament's pot. So, if you get a 128 player bracket, that's the total pot would be $1,280.
Mm-hmm. And then
single one.
And the entry fee for each game is how much?
$26.
$26.
15 of that goes into the event. $1 of it goes into the Player of the Year pot, and then 10 of it goes into that tournament's pot. So
yeah, and that's that's a pretty low price. The 2 tournaments for Tecmo Bowl we held in Omaha, Nebraska, and Des Moines, our entry fee was $15. And our first place payout was like a little over $100. So with the good number of a turnout in Houston, there's going to be a substantial more amount of money to be won for what you're putting into the tournament. You stand to win a good chunk of change is the point I'm getting at, as opposed to what we were doing in a smaller group.
Well, if for example, I've listed the payouts on our website.
Mm-hmm.
If you won a tournament, you get 40% of the pot.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
128 players enter, you get $512. Overall, it's a pretty good return on investment.
Sure, that's right.
Well, and not only is it really good if you're if you consider yourself a serious gamer and especially in a specific game that's going on in the tournament, but it's also your price point is cheap enough that or inexpensive enough, I should say, that if you're just somebody who really loves a specific game that's being played, what a cool vacation to just go down to, travel to Houston, Texas, and get to play that game with some people from all over the United States or whatever. And how many times have we wasted $26 on something that's not this fun? You know what I mean? So I love the fact that you've built in a system where, if you're a serious gamer and you want a chance to go win some money, that's an option for you. If you just want to come have fun, for a weekend, you have that opportunity as well. I want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't want it just to be a spectator event or just a competitor event. We also wanted, we're getting vendors lined up already. We've got about 30% of our spaces filled already. We're going to have about 24, consoles set up for people to play on, and also we're going to be renting arcades. There's going to be a bar in the event center if you want to chill, have a drink. So, there's going to be plenty to do. Not just watching or playing in the tournaments, but you also be able to, shop and just chill at the bar or play at the free play arcades or consoles.
Where did you come up with the idea for this Retro World Series?
Well, it's something I've had in mind for quite a while. I tried to get into the whole new games, starting in college throughout, and it got to the point where you just couldn't keep up with the changes, and it was more comfortable to go back to what you knew and recapture. It's part nostalgia, it's part simplicity, it's part just having fun.
Agreed.
I'm a competitive guy. I'm a former college athlete, so I like a little competition as well. And I've seen some groups try to implement some competitions with retro gaming, but not on a bigger level. And it was something I kind of wanted to do that covered all aspects of all areas of retro gaming, not just sports, but fighting games and games that basically anyone could play. You don't have to have a high skill level to come in and play these games. Most of them just have 2 buttons. So it's something that anybody can come in and enjoy and just have fun. You can be competitive or you can just do it for fun. Either way, it's going to be a good time.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of experience I wanted to give people. There's a lot of conventions out there that seem to focus more on the vendors and on panels and stuff like that. Rather, they'll have tournaments on the side, but those aren't the primary focus. And this is kind of what we want to do differently is make retro gaming a spectator sport, just like you have with modern games. Make it something that anybody can play, but also anybody could want to watch.
And for somebody who's not from Houston, what's the Ava Center about?
It's we wanted something that would be geared more towards, a spectator type event. Most conventions are held in, convention centers where it's just a big empty space that you fill up with vendor spaces or, stages. And this kind of covers all that. It's a huge place with a stage already built there with lighting and sound. And like I said, there's a bar in there. There's plenty of rooms and spaces to put games and vendors in. So it's a little different, but it'll definitely accommodate having, we'll be able to put about 150 seats in front of the stage for people to watch. There's a broadcast booth already there that we can set up our guys from fight sessions and reaction games to do their live streaming. So it's set up really well for an event like this, which is why I picked it. So it's a big space and about the same price as a much smaller convention space. So
I've seen the pictures of it online. They had some pictures posted for almost like a wedding reception. Like, it's a really nice looking place inside there. And I've seen some of the pictures you've posted as well where you were testing some equipment. It's an interesting environment or atmosphere there, it looks like to me, just in pictures. It's not like you're just going to be in a big giant lifeless warehouse or something playing. So I'm really interested to just check out the building myself.
Yeah, and we want to make it to where you're easily accessible to everything. There's going to be games all throughout the place. they're not just going to be in one area in this back room. They're going to be all over the place. There's going to be games on the bar areas and stuff like that. And on the other side, as you walk through the vendor area, et cetera. And then you'll be able to either watch the tournament taking place on the big stage. There'll always be someone playing on the big stage during the tournaments. Or you'll be able to go watch in the other areas where they're taking place on the regular TVs.
What kind of vendors are you? I know you talked with the vendors a little bit, but what kind of vendors will be there, and what kind of services will they provide there? And I noticed that on your prices page, it talks about how people can go. This isn't something where people have to lock themselves in for the entire week, too, right? This is something where people could go and just use as a spectator event for a day, and they could just go for a day, right?
Yeah, you can either get a ticket online for $10 for a day, or you can buy it at the door. But we do have a deal where if you want to go all 4 days, that's $25, but you got to purchase those online. It's something that you're not obligated to be there the whole time. Probably the best day to be there will be the Sunday, because that's when the finals will be taking place for all the tournaments, and that'll be when the real action takes place. And so we're going to have artists there. We've got artists already signed up. We're going to have several video game resellers there, quite a few actually. That's kind of where we want to focus. There's going to be shirts to buy, and quite a few different types of vendors you'll be able to shop through. And if you get bored, there's a Pizza Hut right next door. So.
Okay, all right. Maybe in Houston they got gluten-free dough, huh, Nate?
I know, right? One of the Pizza Huts got it too. So I saw there was a Popeye's chicken near there too. So
well, it's in a great little spot because it's just north of a really nice area called Westheimer. It's just a block north where there's all kinds of restaurants and hotels. So within a mile radius, there's plenty of places to stay and eat. So if you're traveling from far off.
Yeah. My wife's already been doing a little bit of searching on like Airbnb, and we're probably gonna try to rent a home or something something along those lines. So she's already been checking out some nice places in the area. So definitely looking forward to it. RetroWorldSeries.com is how you find out about all this. Obviously, it'll be linked to Tecmo Bowl versus RBI Baseball.com. And have you put any thoughts into what games you might have in the main event next year? A little too early.
It really, it depends on the turnout this year. If all the games are popular, we may do it all again. If some don't make, I've had a lot of requests to change from Tecmo Bowl to Tecmo Super Bowl, so I can understand that. We kind of want to keep it simple and something anybody can enjoy.
Yeah.
Tecmo Super Bowl is a great game. I love playing it. It's just definitely more competitive than Tecmo Bowl. So we wanted to kind of keep it a little more casual this year. We've had requests to add NBA Jam. That's my all-time favorite game. Okay. So I'd love to add that. So the great thing is, there's options to add speed run tournaments. There's options to add high score tournaments. It's a little easier to organize and keep track of versus tournaments. But
sure.
There's literally hundreds of games to choose from all those categories. And but those, if I had, I would love to add NBA Jam just for me being selfish.
Yeah.
So, but there's plenty of options to add games.
We spoke through, Facebook or whatever, and so I'm well aware of the format or how Tecmo Bowl is going to play out in group play, which we'll get put in. It's groups of 4, right? And then
yes.
And then you play your 3 opponents, and then the records kind of go into the seeding. Are there any other games where the group play is different than that?
The only time there really won't be a group play is Warlords and Super Bomberman 2, because those will be 4-player games.
Okay.
So,
okay.
They really won't be, round robin, so to speak, just because everyone will already be playing each other all at the same time.
Okay.
Pretty much besides those 2, every other tournament will start out in group play, because we want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to play a minimum number of games. So, even Mortal Kombat Street Fighter 2 will start out in group play, where you'll play 3 out of 5 against each player, and then the top 2 from each group will move on to the single elimination.
Okay.
We are open to creating double elimination if some tournaments don't turn out well, and so we have plenty of time. We could definitely change it to double elimination to make it a little more competitive and exciting, make it last a little longer. But trying to fit in 12 tournaments in 4 days doesn't allow for a huge window of time. So that's why we're keeping it single elimination right now.
Sure. Super Mario Kart, will that be like the time trials, or is that going to be the what's the battle mode? Which one are you playing in that for Super Mario Kart?
Battle mode is head to head.
Yes.
No, I'm sorry. It's not going to be battle mode. It'll be match race.
Okay.
100cc, 3 out of 5 races. You'll get to you'll be a coin flip, and then you choose which course, and you'll play through those.
Interesting. Okay.
And 3 out of 5 races. So you'll get plenty of races in each against each opponent. Same thing, group play. Top 2 will advance to the next to the single elimination bracket.
All right. I know that my wife will no longer play me in battle mode in Super Mario Kart because I have some unsavory things I say to her during the competition. So yeah, I would definitely like to throw my hat in the ring if that was the case. So
that's kind of the thing, like, even if you've never played Street Fighter 2, if you played Street Fighter 4 or 5 or Alpha, you can pick up and play the regular Street Fighter 2. The gameplay might be slightly different, but the controls are the same. The learning curve won't be, so these are games anybody can pick up and play.
Sure.
There's some with a higher learning curve, maybe Super Bomberman 2 or NHL 94 might take a little more skill, but for the most part, any of them, if you haven't played it in 20 years, you can probably pick up and play again.
Now, in Tecmo Bowl and RBI Baseball, you're only allowed to call a matchup once. Like say I'm only allowed to name San Francisco versus Chicago once. What about in the fighter games like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter? Is there any kind of rules or stipulations like that?
No, you'll be able to pick whoever you want.
Okay.
Some people only play with one fighter, and the moves and stuff like that you have to have down to a T.
Yeah.
And so we're going to allow you look at other big events, kind of like Evo and stuff, and they let you continually choose which character you want, and we're not going to. A lot of people will probably play in Evo or other fighting tournaments that play in ours will want that kind of format. So we want to kind of keep it the same, so there's not a huge change. Tecmo Bowl, for example, we emulated what Tecmo Madison was doing as far as their rules.
Sure.
And they've got a very successful event. It's sad that they're not doing it anymore, but we wanted to kind of emulate what they were doing as far as the rules, because there are going to be people coming down from there, and they're very successful with what they do. So why not kind of keep the rules the same?
Yeah, I agree. We've I don't really know where the Tecmo Super Bowl tournaments originated from, but it's pretty much accepted nationally. Like, those are the rules. You do the group play and the team selection. So I know we adopted those principles when we did our Omaha and Des Moines tournaments. And so we've yet to run into a problem or anyone has a gripe with it. So it's definitely an effective way to set those up.
Well, we had to set the matchup choice the way it was because there's more parity in Tecmo Bowl probably than Tecmo Super Bowl. If we didn't have this rule, then everyone would be, okay, I'm going to be San Francisco and you're going to be Indianapolis or something. Some less than good team.
Yeah.
And it just wouldn't be fair. And so, or then there would be always the same matchup.
Yes.
Everyone would be, okay, San Francisco versus Chicago. And, this is going to get boring because there's not going to be a diversity in team choices. So
I agree.
You make the Minnesota versus Washington or something like that. Just keep it interesting, keep it fresh.
Yeah, no, I agree, definitely. Just, the option of throwing out whatever two teams you want. We'll get a lot of surprising matchups, so we'll be curious to see.
Especially since you're not guaranteed to get the team you want. You pick a matchup, but you got to make sure you're going to be able to play with both teams and know their playbooks.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it's a lot much simpler with the playbooks in Tecmo.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, you mentioned NBA Jam being your favorite all-time game, and thinking about putting that in for next year. Is there are you playing this year in the tournament, and are you going to play any of the 12 games there, or what are you thinking on that front?
It depends if I have time. It's setting all this up and managing this event. It's definitely going to be time consuming. If I had to choose one, it probably would be Tecmo Bowl. I don't claim to be great at it, but I've played it a ton, so I would hope to be somewhat competitive in that. I'm not really. I don't know hardly any moves in Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, so I wouldn't do any fighters. But I like RBI baseball, but I know there's a lot of super competitive people in RBI baseball, so we'll see. But those would probably be my two choices, and maybe some of the Atari tournaments, because I love those games. They're real simple, real fun.
Again, folks, that website is retroworldseries.com, and it will be held August 11th through the 14th down in Houston. So we will be there. I will be taking a flying apparatus to get down there, and Nate will be making it into a family vacation for a week. So,
yeah, we're really excited to come down. My family hasn't had a family vacation in over 10 years, and so we're making it we're driving down from Iowa to make it a family vacay centered around the Retro Gaming World Series. So really excited about it. Thank you for hosting this event, Hal. It's awesome. And, the website has just a ton of information. Any information somebody would want on the tournament, like how to register and all that stuff, is on the site. But just one thing I wanted to put out there tonight and ask is there a time limit people have to sign up? Because, people like me like to dawdle sometimes and not get around to stuff and just say I'll do it later. Is there a specific time frame people have to sign up by?
They need to sign up for the tournaments by July 31st at midnight Central Time. Just got to have time to set up the brackets and get everything ready. So, you won't be able to sign up at the door, unfortunately. But with this many tournaments and this many players, we need to be able to schedule ahead of time. So.
Well, I know how much effort Brad put into the Omaha and Des Moines tournament, and that was a single game in a smaller venue. I can't imagine all the work you're putting into this. So great stuff out of you.
Well, there's all my consoles I have so far.
Oh, wow,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so that gives you an idea.
My wife.
Too bad the people listening can't see it. But.
Yeah, my wife was not amused by your picture of your TVs, because she knows when I did the Omaha and Des Moines Tecmo tournaments, I took like 8 TVs in my wife's minivan to Des Moines, and so she's not amused by all the extra equipment that I have just for these tournaments. So yeah, I can appreciate the work, the time you've put into just acquiring this stuff. It's amazing.
And my back wasn't happy after that day.
Yeah,
so.
Plus I'm toting around 7-year-old flat screens that maybe weigh 30 pounds or 40 pounds, and you're kind of going with the vintage tube type stuff, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, all CRTs, trying to keep it around 20 inches. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to I don't want to lift any more than that, especially when I've got 60 of them. So.
Yeah. So you'll need a horse trailer to bring those in.
Impressive, man. Thank you.
I'm going to be building some custom shelves and put them all there, so I can just roll them on in. I'm not.
Oh, nice. Well, Hal, I guess we're going to wrap it up. It's kind of late here, Central Time. So thanks for coming on. We're really stoked to see you here in a couple months.
I appreciate you having me on.
I got one last question for you.
Right.
Former Colorado Buffaloes head coach Dan Hawkins isn't your dad, is he?
No, he's not.
Okay.
No, I would have lucked out and become a quarterback.
There you go.
But,
yeah, they had a mess at quarterback in Colorado, so you'd have been well served to go elsewhere, I guess. So. All right, Hal. Thanks again, man. RetroWorldSeries.com. We're looking forward to it, and we will talk to you soon, buddy. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks a bunch.
Yep. Well, folks, guess that's all we got for tonight's show.
I don't know about you, Brad. I'm stoked. I'm ready to go. Hal's a cool guy. It was neat to talk to him. I'll tell you what, man. I am so stoked for Houston. It's going to be an amazing trip. And, anybody listening, man, make a family vacation out of it, or get off your butt on during the week and fly down there. Something. It's going to be a great time, man.
All right, folks. We'll see you around. Catch you on the next show.